What is going on, adventurers? I have received a lot of requests to talk about how I use artificial intelligence in my own games, and when I say artificial intelligence, what I'm talking about is ChatGPT, Midjourney, DALL-E, things like that. So I wanted to make a video to go over how exactly I use all of that stuff in my own games and how you can learn to use that to streamline your dungeon mastering and your character creation, all of that stuff. So let's jump into it. All right, so you can see here I've messed around a little bit with some art for some monsters that I was creating for a recent run. Now, what's really cool is, this is, by the way, I'm using Midjourney here. If you don't know what it is, what Midjourney does is it takes a single sentence, a prompt of any kind, and it will use that prompt, that text, that information that you've provided it in order to create an image that is generated using artificial intelligence. So you can see here, I wanted a giant pale worm monster, and this is sort of what it gave me. Slime-covered worms. You can see it created this nightmare fuel here. But you can also do it in various styles. So a smiling 33-year-old bard male with short and dark hair, dark Renaissance suit, a pop of teal. This is what it came up with. What I'm going to show you is how to take prompt and how to get more of what you're looking for, or to get different versions of it. And that's something that's really simple, and all it takes is changing just a little bit of the prompt that you start with. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a character together, and then I'm going to show you how I take it into Token Stamp to create a quick token that I use for all of my online games, and how I can use ChatGPT, which is completely free, by the way, how you can use ChatGPT to help plot your games, help come up with concepts, things like that. We're going to do this together, and we're going to do it right now. The first thing that you want to know is that Midjourney is free to an extent. You can create some images using a free account, or at least that's how it was at the beginning. I don't know if Midjourney has moved to a subscription-only service. If that's the case, just know that what I'm paying every month is $30 in order to be able to get 15 hours of generated content. And what that means is that each of these generations takes, anywhere from 1 minute to 5 minutes, depending on how busy their servers are. And so all of that time stacks up, and I pay $30 a month. I have never ran out of hours to this date. So take that with a grain of salt. Some of you guys might be a little crazier about your prompts and stuff like that. So if you're somebody who you think you're going to be creating more art than me or the average person, whatever, then you may want to just splurge for the full thing. Go for the pro version or whatever they call it. Let's try to create something that's a little simpler just so you can see how it's done. So every prompt in Midjourney starts with /imagine, and then you tell it the prompt that you want it to imagine. So I've been thinking about a character for a while now that I'm going to be bringing into one of my stories. Let's see what we can create using this character and Midjourney. Let's try something pretty simple. 40-year-old paladin male in gleaming silver armor, dark black hair, and some scars. So that might already bring some images to your mind as to what he looks like. Let's try this and just see what this creates, right? Now, while that's running, I'm also going to run it with one slight difference, and that's going to be that I'm going to tell it that using the dash dash is sort of like I'm giving you an extra code, make sure this is included. So I'm going to put in dash dash aspect for aspect ratio, and I'm going to change it. I'm going to tell it to do 7:4. Right, that's the aspect ratio, which is close enough to 1920 by 1080. So I'm going to see what it does using just that. And that little bit of a difference you'll see is probably going to create some big differences as far as like what the art that it generates is. So with that same thing, I'm going to say 7:4, if I can type, aspect 7:4. And I'm going to tell it chaos 10. Now I'll go over what that means in just a moment when this is finished rendering all three. So it looks like it's still waiting to generate the original one, the first one, but what you can see is that right away, all we've changed between this and this is adding this chaos, right? A chaos of 10. So chaos 0 means no difference. There's documents and videos and stuff that you can watch or read even on Midjourney's own website that explain a little bit of what each of the different prompts do. But the simplest way I can explain it is that the aspect ratio prompt, obviously that's changing the aspect ratio, right? If you don't tell it to do a specific aspect ratio, it's going to stick to a square, the 1:1. Now, what the chaos 10 is implying is, so chaos 0 would mean that the image that it creates is going to be similar to each other. So there's going to be less varying between the different images that it generates. By adding just a little bit, Chaos 10, you can see it's created a very similar image, similar style, similar feel, but there is some slight variations between each image, even in the style. You can see that, some of these look a little more photorealistic, whereas this one looks a little more hand-drawn, and that's because of that chaos. You can see that without it, what it's done is created sort of 4 very similar-looking images. I don't know why it's doing this double one. I honestly don't know what that's about, but hey. And you can see that here in the original one, what it's done is it's taken the prompt and done just sort of what it thinks I would like based on that prompt, because I've provided very little information, right? So again, it did the 1x1 as default. And you can see that the character itself looks pretty similar, and all it's really done is tweak a little bit of the background, tweak a little bit of maybe the face or whatever, but overall looks pretty much the same. And by adding just that little bit of chaos, what it's done is taken that same character and done 4 different variations of it. So for example, let's take that same prompt, right, / imagine. Let's take that same prompt and add chaos 50. All right, so taking a look at this, what we can see is that adding that little bit of chaos has actually very drastically changed. I don't even know what this is about. It's doing some sort of like 3D front back 3/4 view. But you can see that there's even like an anime inspired one. There's one that looks very realistic. This looks like it's something out of a Marvel or a DC film. But adding just that change between 50 chaos and 10 chaos created some drastically different images. Now this is where it gets really cool, because if you have a specific style in mind, what you can do is, instead of saying chaos, you can just add a very simple addition to the prompt, right? So for example, in the style of Studio Ghibli. And now what it's going to do is take that same prompt, hopefully take something similar to what these characters look like, and in the same aspect ratio of 7:4, hopefully it'll create something that's a little more anime, something closer to this, but maybe a little more whimsical. But I could very easily tell it to do this, a photograph of a 40-year-old paladin male, right? And what that's going to do is create some more photorealistic images. So let's go ahead and do that. And just so that you can see what I'm talking about. A photograph, silver armor, dark black hair and some scars, and let's say 85mm lens, just to give it some specifics to fine-tune the look of what we're going for here. What you can see is that this is 100% a Studio Ghibli look, and I can see some of the elements of like Howl's Moving Castle here. You can see some of that town, but what it's done is it's scoured everything that it can find on the internet that is Studio Ghibli, and it has tried to condense all of that information, all of that style, every little thing that it's learned, and added it to the character. And look what it's done here, or what it's doing here for the photograph. And all I did was, it's the same prompt, and all I've done is added a couple things here and there, like a lens type or a style type. And now look, you have some pretty photorealistic looking images. This looks like it's a shot out of Game of Thrones. So this is what I'm talking about, right? This, depending on what you are looking for, this program can absolutely change how you run your games, how you create your characters. And all you need to do is have a little imagination. You could even tell it to make a specific celebrity. I could tell it to do Brad Pitt in armor, and it would do it. So I just want you to see the power of Midjourney. Now, once you have a photograph that you like, right? Like, let's say I want one of these. Let's say I really like this one. So what you're seeing here, the U1, U2, V1, V2, that you're seeing upscale and variation. So I can tell it to pick 1, 2, 3, 4. I can have it upscale this one if I really like it, upscale 4. Or if I like that but I'm not 100% sold on it, I can have it do variations of box number 4. And you can see here's the upscaled version. And it's going to do some variations as well. Just for the hell of it, let's go ahead and upscale this one here. Actually, you know what? Just to go a little deeper, what I want to do is tell it to do that same photograph prompt, but I want it to do it in a widescreen version and see what it comes up with, because I want something that's going to fill the screen so that the players can really get a full look at it. This is good for something like a token, but I really want a wide screen, something that can fill their screen as best as possible so that they get a full in-depth look at the character and what he is going to look like for them, right? So really all of this just comes down to personal choice. What is the style that you want? What's the look that you're trying to create? What is the vibe that you want your players to feel? And then use this program to generate that stuff. It's like having an artist on retainer that just, you send them a message and let them know what you want them to create, and then if you need to give them some variations, or if you need to give them some tips, or ask them to make some tweaks, it does that for you in minutes. So here we are looking at some of these, and honestly, out of all of these, I really like this one. So let's say we're going for something a little more realistic. I'm going to upscale number 4, and there it is. That looks pretty damn good. Now let's say I like these. All right, let's upscale number 4 because I like that one the best. And once it upscales it, I now know, okay, this is the image of my paladin. This is the one I want. So what do you do from here? Once you have the image, once you have the look that you want, what do? Well, you just right click, save the image. Once you've saved it, you want to go to this website here, rolladvantage.com/token stamp. Now, this is really cool because what this program allows you to do is to create tokens for your online game. And what I'm doing here is selecting from all of these different box shapes that I like. You know, you could do this if you really want to show like a direction, if it's a top down. You can do these if you're looking for something that feels a little more whimsical. I always like to go for the thinner edge because I think that that's just going to show us a little more of the actual art. So go in here, choose a color style. The way I like to do it is I like to make neutral or NPCs white. I like to make enemies red, and any sort of ally or anything like that, either a blue or a green, so that it makes it easy for the players to look at the map and know exactly who is on their side and who isn't. We're going to say this guy's an ally because he's a paladin. I'm going to make it sort of this green color, pick that, and then all you need to do is go to where you saved that image and drop it onto the token stamp there. You can actually mess around with the shape, get it perfectly centered here. And what you want to make sure is that you choose this one here, which deletes the background. It removes the background, so you have what's called a PNG or an alpha image, and allows you to have a cutout so that when you drag and drop this, you don't have a white square and the circle here, but that you have just the circle in the center. And all you need to do from there is hit download, and you have your token. Here I am in my Roll20, where I host most of my games, and I am looking at a map from Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and if I wanted to bring this paladin in, because the players are going to run into this character, all you need to do is find out where you saved that token, usually in your downloads, drag and drop. It will automatically upload to your library here in Roll20, and then you can size it down to whatever size you need, and there you go. Now that I've shown you a little bit about how I use Midjourney to create the art and Token Stamp to create the tokens, how about artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, and how can you use that to better plot out your campaign? So I've got here a brand new ChatGPT account. This is 100% free, so you don't need to worry about paying for this. You can pay if you want to get ChatGPT 4, which is only, I think, $20 a month, and it is a little smarter than Chat 3.5. There's been a lot of talk about it being much smarter and being able to pass the bar and better reasoning skills and blah, blah, blah. I don't think there's much of a difference between 3.5 and 4, but that also depends a lot on the prompt that you give it and how much detail you're giving ChatGPT to work with. So, for example, I'm going to go in here and let it know, I'm a dungeon master. I need your help preparing for my games. And it's going to give me some generic response like, I'd be happy to help, yeah. Okay, and you see it's going to say, here's a few ways I could assist you with. And it's saying that it can help with storyline and plot ideas, it can help with world building, it can help with encounter design, character and NPC creation, rules and mechanics, magic items, and loot. Really quickly, right off the bat, let's say I'm in the middle of a game and my players are entering a city and I just realized, oh crap, I didn't plot any of this. I need a name for a city, and I need a list of 30 possible NPCs that they might run into. And see, it gives you already a little bit. It's saying, let's say the city is a bustling trade hub at the edge of a vast desert. You could change that and say, I need a name for a city in a forest. I need a name for a city in the mountains. And you can see it's already giving you a whole bunch of names of people and the name of the city right here, Sandspire. That's actually pretty cool. It has also taken the other part of that prompt and taken 30 possible NPCs, and you see it has added all of them here. It's still thinking. It literally gives you some of the information, right? A mute bard who tells stories through his music. That's awesome. That's a great character idea. A successful trader known for having rare and magical items. So let's say, your players decide they want to go see the merchant, and okay, this is the merchant. His name is Bahir. I need a list of items for Bahir's shop. And you can see it, because I told it I'm a dungeon master, has already started searching the internet for items that are related to Dungeons and Dragons, such as an Afridi bottle, Dust of Dryness, which is an actual official item. So, Bracers of Defense. So, right away, my players can start asking me what this guy has for sale, what interesting things, if they prompt it, and I don't have to think about it, because all I had to do was immediately know, oh, they're about to ask this guy. I went in here, I typed a few words, and I can tell them, oh, he brings out these bracers. It looks like they've got some crossed swords built into them. You can go as far into this as you want, but what I want to show you is how you can take this and go a step further. So I can tell it, I need a name for a city in the forest. Make a table with 3 columns. In the first column, give me a name for an NPC. In the second column, give me their backstory in 1 sentence. In the third column, give me their occupation. And you hit enter and look at what it creates here. Verdant Haven. Sure. If you're really in a pinch and you can't think of anything, you just repeat what's written here and you're good. Now look what it's done. It's actually created a table. So I can tell it, well, there's a person named Bramble Ironroot who's a dwarf who got lost in the forest in his youth and was raised by treants, and now works to maintain harmony in the forest. And he's a forest warden, so I know, with somebody that they would meet outside the city. They can talk to the city guard, whose name is Malus Starshine, and he's an elven prince of a fallen kingdom, and he now uses his skills that he learned back there to protect this city and its inhabitants. And it goes on and on and on. Innkeeper, who is actually a tree. So you can just see, that right there, all I asked it to do is be a little more specific, create a table, and I can copy and paste this into a Word document, into a spreadsheet, into my notes, whatever you need, right? Luna Moon Song, a silent bard. And this is just one of the ways that you could use this. Now, what about actually plotting? And you can see it got stuck here at the bottom, and I would just hit continue generating, or I can move on to the next prompt. But what about if I wanted to plot a campaign? So let's say I have a big bad, and I know exactly who he is. I need help plotting my campaign. Give me 5 plot points from the party meeting in a tavern to them fighting the Lich at the end of the campaign. So right away, an unexpected beginning, right? Very Lord of the Rings. Party forms in the tavern, and it tells you how they might actually meet. You see they're attracted by rumors of a wealthy patron. During their meeting, there's an unexpected attack by undead creatures on the town, which interrupts the deal, and this whole mystery of why these creatures are attacking begins, right? That's your plot point. Then you have to hunt for the necromancer, right? This is the first quest. After saving the town, the adventurers are hired to find the source of these undead creatures. They eventually discover that a necromancer is behind the attacks, and he is located in the city of Verdant Haven. So, boom, now they know where to go. Then, betrayal, right? The twist. Upon their arrival, they can uncover a conspiracy implicating a trusted city official. Maybe this is an NPC that was helping them. Then you see the official is seeking an ancient artifact that can awaken a lich. And so they have to go into the crypt now. This is the climax. They have to go in there to stop and confront the necromancer, and then they witness the terrifying rise of the Lich at the end. And now you have your big battle against the Lich. This is just 5 plot points that I did. I can have it go even deeper. But what I'm trying to show you is that you can have these 5 plot points, and let's say during this attack, along the way from here to Verdant Haven, wherever the tavern is, from the tavern to Verdant Haven, or whatever you want to call the city, they stop at a town. Well, that's fine, but they're still on their way to Verdant Haven, and you know that the next major plot point is that they need to go find out about this necromancer, right? So you can have as many plot points, as many subplot points along the way. They can run into NPCs. From this plot point to this plot point can be 5, 10, 15, 20 sessions, but you have a direction. Now, what I can do is tell it to take this prompt and go even deeper. Break down this outline into 20 steps instead of 5. And it's going to do that. And that gives you a very basic outline, and at the very least is something that you can take to your table and use it as a sort of starting point or a springboard or a source of inspiration for your game. And you can see here it took the entire outline. It started with the rumors of a wealthy patron seeking adventures and ends with a battle against the Lich, with even a retreat and a regroup, which means like this would be like a big, oh no, we're fighting something much bigger than us. How are we ever going to win? And that adds a little more epicness and adds a little more tension to the actual final battle. This is what it did with the most basic plot points, right? I asked for 5 random plot points, but what if I already have some ideas? You can go in here and plug it in. If you know who your party is, you can go in and give it a paragraph talking about your party, giving it some backstory information, and having it plot points specific to that party, pulling on specific fears, on specific backstories. So I just wanted you to see that ChatGPT doesn't have to be everything for your game. It doesn't have to plot everything for you, but that it can. It can be a fountain of information for you to pull on, just like having a co-DM or somebody to brainstorm with and go back and forth with. That is my entire video on using AI, specifically Midjourney and ChatGPT. I hope this video helps you understand a little more of the power of Midjourney and how ChatGPT and Midjourney together can really create some more in-depth games for you and help streamline your entire dungeon mastering process. So if this video helped, let me know in the comments below. Let me know and let our viewers know how you're using AI in your games, if you are, or if you're not, let us know why. Thank you guys so much for watching. Forge on, my friends, and we'll see you next time, adventurers.